So hello and welcome to this webinar, Antivirus Bypass Techniques and Countermeasures. It's me, Omar. So hello again. I'm a cybersecurity analyst and penetration tester with up to 4 years of experience in penetration testing and SOC, threat intelligence, malware analysis, digital forensics, also creating cybersecurity tools, automation tools, day-to-day tasks. And also I do provide some trainings and I do some content creation for courses. In brief, that's me. And so let's start. We will have a demo and some theory in this session. So it's divided to two. We will explain the theory first, then we will move on to the live demo. So let's start by the extreme basics. So what is antivirus? I know most of you know what's the definition, but it's good to go with the basics. So antivirus is a type of program used to detect, search, identify, and remove viruses. Main types of the AV. First, we have the signature based. The signature based, it's a pattern generated to detect a certain sequence of bytes. So we know that every virus or every malware, it has a specific signatures. And these kind of antivirus engines are made based on some signatures pattern created to detect certain sequence. Type of code, the following executable could have contained if the code or pattern of the bytes is present in blacklisted content, then the AV will alert and trigger the user. So that's how signature based work. We have the heuristic based, which is a modern technique of detecting malicious payload by defining some rules and algorithms such that if the code contains certain set of code, instruction, or executable segments which do certain actions which might prove malicious activity, then the AV will alert is triggered. So you see the difference between heuristic and signature. Heuristic is like a modern way, which is rules and algorithms in a nutshell. And the third one, which is we use nowadays, most it's behavior. So what's the malware is doing? It's based on behavior, the technique analysis, the behavior of the binary file, and to categorize it into malicious and non-malicious if a malicious activity on the AV is triggered. So that's the three types we have nowadays in some computer antivirus evasion techniques. We have 8 types of how we can bypass antiviruses. The first 4, which is obfuscators, packers, cryptors, and protectors, process memory injection. So DLL injection. Next, we have the inline hooking, process hollowing. But before we go to our live demo, it's really important to understand how a malware works and why malware analysis is really important. So let's start by what is malware analysis and why do we need it? Basically, hackers, the main goal of hackers, while they create any malware, they have 4 main objectives, okay, which is providing remote control for the attacker, send spam, infected machine to unsuspecting targets, investigate the infected user, and steal sensitive data. That's every hacker's dream, okay? So we, as a malware analyst, our job is to catch these characteristics, define the malware characteristic. You find the IOCs, okay? What's the IOC? IOC is indicate of compromise. It can help us feed our company, to feed the SOC, to predict if we have this incident later, we can create we have already wrote a rule for it. So that's how malware analysis is important, to do it on day-to-day. So I will show you some examples about malware analysis. So assuming we have an exe, a payload that was created by Metasploit on CMD, let's say, and you type strings, you use the strings tool, okay? So you will get all the strings for the file, anything malicious, like you can search for injecting shellcode, some HTTP connections, it can be loaders, exec, the function exec, that's mostly malicious because it's executing something. If we have a C2 connection or any network sockets that is talking with someone else, not with the internal stuff that we have or something else. So that's how important to search the strings. You will find crazy stuff in it. Next, we have the PE Studio tool. It's really good. It's GUI based. You can find strings, file headers, directories. It can also scan the file automatically using multiple search engine. But it will tell you the indicators also, which is very good. Promise me you won't do this activity outside the session, yeah? Nothing black hat activity. All right. In this demo, I will explain how to bypass AV using Python. Demo, we will be using 2 techniques of the 8 techniques I have explained to you. So we are gonna use cryptors and obfuscators, okay? By creating our payload, okay? Using MSF Venom. So we created our payload. It's a Python file. So let's open this in text editor. As I told you, this file was encoded by base64. So now I will decode it and show you the original code for this exploit. Okay. So we copy, then we go to base64decode.org. It's a website used to decode the base64. Okay, decode. So that's the code. But the main part of this payload is this, literally this 5 lines. Sadly, if you put this, it will be catched by. So how can you start manipulating your file? Since we are on this site, you can start like basically make everything separately, like import socket, import zlib, sorry. Okay, that's one of the main ways of how to start changing your code. Libraries, okay? Then you can add this, for example, okay? You can also do this, import socket as Yara. So every time you will say socket in the code, you will say Yara instead. And now you will manipulate the AV. He won't understand that you are using a library for connection now. So just do a small changes like letters, library names, loop structure. That's it. That's easy. So look what I did here. Changing code is the start for us. Now we will move with the. So what you will do now after changing this, you will copy and encode it again and get the new hash for base64. Here, what I did, I manipulate the code. I added AES encryption. Now we use 2 times of cryptor techniques in the same time, because base64 then AES. So now you have 2 layers of cryptors, making it hard and harder for AVs and EDRs to understand. Okay. Pip install PyArmor, it's a library, a famous library that obfuscate code, making it hard to reverse it. But the only way is reversing on runtime, not on execution. Now it will obfuscate it and it will create a folder for it, hoping that we are gonna bypass AV. We are expecting a 0 out of 59 or 63, I guess. So let's see. So far 11, 59 antiviruses didn't detect this malicious activity. We used 2 cryptor methods, and 1 obfuscation, and we reach 0/59. So since we have created the payload, okay, but we didn't send it to the victim yet, we need to start the listener, right? Because it's a reverse TCP, starting the Metasploit framework console. Then we're gonna set the payload and run activate our listener. So use exploit. Then you set the payload, which is Python/meter reverse underscore TCP. Then you set your L host, which is 172.3.1.2.1.0.7. Then you set the L port 4431. So we started the reverse TCP handler. Can you see my Windows machine? So assuming you send a file to the victim, and the victim open it, it's gonna start run. And we fully exploited a Windows machine. And finally, for countermeasures, you can create Yara to detect base 64, to detect specific strings like exec, like struct. Okay, you will tell me, oh, okay, we might see some false positives. Yes, you will see that, but you can make your rule more precise. Okay, like strings, you can add the file size. If the file size is very low, like between let's say 500 kilobytes to 1 megabytes, it can be an added rule. Also creating policies in enterprise to disable auto download or downloading from any site, and reviewing the attachments on the emails. Adding rule on EDR to detect specific hashes, also like base 64. Also sandbox the files or anything. So this is like a common countermeasures you can do, but at the end, it also relies on the person through the security awareness, you know. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you all again, and see you next time. Bye all.